So we're back at Tunnel Barn Fishery. This is day 2 of the club festival match. So I've gone and drawn peg 23 on top pools. This is the pool. Down on the left hand side there's a big bowl section. Right in front of me it's quite wide there, and then I've got that big section on the right hand side. So there's plenty of water in front of me. So the plan of attack is fish short with meat, and then fishing long, shallow on casters at 13 metres. Then I've got a margin for later on in the day in front of that peg that you can see, fishing ground bait and maggots. Then I've got the left hand side, and I don't really plan to fish this, but I may go on there throwing some maggots in. But like I say, here's my bait for the day. Meat for short, casters for 13 metre shallow. Then I've got the ground bait and maggots for in the margin. So we just had the all in, so I decided to fish this match on day 2 much the same as I fished it on day 1, because it worked on day 1, so why not the same on day 2. So I'm fishing a top kit +1 with meat and priming a 13 metre line to fish shallow later on in the day. So it took about 10 minutes before we get our first bite. But real positive bite, float shot under, and we're into our first fish. Again, it's quite windy today, much the same as yesterday. The wind is blowing from right to left. I've drawn peg 23 on top pool, and I was warned before the match that if you draw this side of the bank, it's not very good. So I weren't very positive when I turned up with my peg, and especially when I plumbed up. Where I'm fishing a top kit +1, it was 4 foot, and then all the way into the margin it was the same depth. So my margin was also 4 foot. So not the best of pegs, but got our first fish after 10 minutes. I was quite happy, gave me a little bit of confidence, and we just want to try and keep these fish coming now. So again, much the same process. 2 pieces of meat in the pot. The size 6mm size of meat, Cuban meat on the hook. Just putting that in, putting the pole between my legs, and then catapulting some maggots out at 13 metres. So priming that 13 metre line, I felt like it was just important to keep those casters going in. I mean, the fish are up in the water, they're actually topping, sometimes taking the bait as it hit the water. So I knew I had plenty of fish in the swim. Arguably, I could probably have gone out there much sooner, but I was catching fish on this line, and I've got feeding fish, so why would I come off it? And I've probably got more chance of a bigger carp coming in and hopefully in on this short line. So hence why I stayed there. So there we go, we get another bite, fish on. Just while we're playing this one, guys, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy watching my videos and you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do go and hit that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds to do, it's free, and it's really quick to go and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit that notification button so you get reminded next time I upload. Don't forget to drop a like on the video, and if you can, you get 2 seconds, just leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about the video and how you fish here on Top Pool. So we get that one in the net. So we're probably about, I want to say around 40 minutes into the match now. And we've just had quite a good run of fish. You see me catch a few there. We're back out again. 2 pieces of meat in the pot. Find a far back marker, drop those in. So rather than just putting them in nice and gently, I was actually dropping them in to make some noise really. Just to get that some fish, if they're coming by, hear that noise, and then they follow that meat down. Not too high, but just probably about 6 inches above the water. Again, catapulting in some casters over that 13 metre line, just keeping those going in. So again, just letting that drop in, and didn't really take long. We did get another bite. So we had a good run, like I said, we had a good run on this line, and we caught quite a few fish, but there was all F1s, around that pound mark, sometimes a little bit smaller. So it wasn't long, I probably gave it about an hour, and then I did come off this line and went onto that 13 metre line and fishing shallow. So we're going to get this one in, and then we'll be swapping over to that 13 metre line. So there we go, we get his head up and we get him in the net. So that one, actually that time was a carp, wasn't an F1, and it was probably about £2. So there was definitely some carp coming in, and but I never caught anything huge on this line. There was all anything between £1 and £2 in the main. So get the hook out, pop them in the net. So we swap over to our 13-metre shallow line. So as before, same as day one, banded caster on a size 16 hook, fishing shallow. So I was fishing at 12 inches at this point. I literally went straight in at 12 inches purely because when I was catapulting the casters out and priming that line, I had fish surfacing. So I knew they weren't going to be deep, so I wanted to start off at 12 inches. Continued throwing in meat as well on that short line. So rather than throwing the meat in at top kit plus one section, I was just throwing it in at a top kit length. So if there's any carp in the swim or any fish in the swim later on, I wanted to bring them in, get them closer to me. It'd be quicker to catch them on a top kit than it would be on a top kit plus one section. So shipping out there at 13 metres. So I've been priming this now for about an hour, so I was expecting fish to be in the swim immediately because I'd seen them surfacing and swirling and topping and what have you. So I know they won't take long before I get a fish. And there we go, look, it really was, probably 30 seconds. Got my bite, fish on. So if you've never fished the overshotted rig before, this is a great venue to come and practice it. I mean, they really do come to it. Everyone fishes the overshotted rig here, and it's just a brilliant venue just to try and home in on that technique. It's not a technique I do very often. There's not many venues I go where I'm fishing for F1s and doing this style of fishing. But coming here a few times a year, it's just great fun and you're going to get loads of bites. There we go, look, another F1 in the net, fishing at 12 inches on an overshotted rig. So we get back out again. So the weather did start to take a turn for the worse, unfortunately. It started to get quite windy. It became actually quite difficult to hold the pole out at 13 metres on quite a few occasions throughout the day. But we persevered, even catapulting the casters. I mean, if I was fishing with maggots, it would have been a nightmare. They've been all over the place. The casters were equally as bad, but not quite as bad as what maggots would have been. But we carried on, and we, do catch quite regularly on this line. We fished this probably on and off throughout the day, and we did a good weight on this line. But today, the second day of this festival, it was a bit like day one. It was constant rotation. You had to go swap lines. You'd catch probably about £10 of fish, get plenty of bites, catch £10 of fish, and then you'd come off it and swap lines again. So, but anyway, we were into our next fish. We get him in. So that's only a small F1, it's only about probably 6 ounces, and this is what I found throughout the day. You'd get a run of like 6 ounce F1s, and then you'd catch quite a few around £1, and then you go back down to the smaller ones again. So unfortunately, I wasn't really catching the bigger F1s, the 3-4 pounders, which I was hoping for. On this line, I did get a few of the bigger sort of, I say bigger fish, but they were carp around sort of the £2 mark. No different to what I was catching when I was fishing short, but I had a good run on this line. So you can't really see it on the video, but the wind, it was actually quite windy. I mean, it got cold as well. I put my jacket on. The wind was picking up. It got really hard to hold the pole out at 13 metres. So I decided to come short again, just fishing a top kit where we continued throwing in the meat on that top kit line. But what I found throughout the day, when I came short, the wind would drop, and then I wish I was back out there again. Then when I was out there, the wind would pick up, and it was like that all day long. So it's just trying to battle the weather and work out what to do next. But I stayed on this short line, get a bite fairly quickly, and we were into another fish. So no matter where I went in my swim, if I went short or long at 13 metres and in a little while you'll see I went and fished the margin, is that the fish always came on those lines until the weather conditions determined that I needed to change, or the fish behaviour determined that I needed to change. So it was just constant rotation throughout the day. Okay, so we're now in at about 3.5 hours into the match, and we've got about 40 pounds in the net, and they've all been caught by rotating those lines between the short line and that 13 metre long line. So again, we're just throwing in 2 pieces of meat, 6mm pieces of cubed meat on a top kit this time. So as you remember, right at the beginning we was fishing a top kit +1, but because I then went out on that 13 metre line, there was no point me trying to throw them out at a top kit +1. I might as well throw them at my feet basically on a top kit, and that's what I kept doing. And now I've got the fish basically at the end of my net. So there you go, just got another bite on that short line, and we're into another fish. Unfortunately, if you look at the platform where I'm sitting, it's actually an extended platform, so where the camera is, I could only position the camera in one place and one angle, so it's always behind me. So unfortunately that's just the angle it is on this video, but we get that fish and we put him in the net. So a few minutes later the weather really did turn, it got a little bit windy, it started to rain. I went on that margin line, so potted in a little cup, just some neat ground bait, and fishing 3 maggots over the top at the end of that peg that you can see on my right. And it wasn't long, and it's almost like that ground bait just drew in those F1s, which is what happened on day 1. A little bit of ground bait will draw in the F1s, they see it, you pot it in, they look at it, they watch it drop down to the bottom, they follow it down, and then they take your bait. And that's what happened. And that was about £1 F1 in the net. So I caught that fish, and I did have a couple more, but that line in the what I class as the margin in front of that peg just didn't feel right. I caught a couple of fish, I missed a few bites, I foul hooked a couple of fish, and I was fishing in 4 foot of water, what I class as a margin. It wasn't right on the day. So I carried on as usual, feeding that 13 metre line, also throwing in some meat on that short line as well. I just want they were the lines to go to. That margin to me just was never going to happen. It just didn't feel right. Too deep of water to fish a margin. So at this point I decided to come off that margin line. The rain has stopped, wind dropped a little bit. Decided to go back on that 13 metre line. The fish are either out there at 13 metres shallow, or they are under my feet. But it's where the most fish are going to come from, and I felt it was on that 13 metre line, so that's where I went next. Back out again, rotating the line with a caster on a band, shipping it out at 13 metres and fishing shallow. Again, I still was at 12 inches deep. I do feel like I probably should have come a little bit shallower, but I stayed at that 12 inches. Catapulted some casters out again, just keeping that feed going, and I just constantly did that throughout the day, catapulting casters over that line, and also making sure I was continually throwing in 2 pieces of meat on that short line as well throughout the day. So this overshotting rig, guys, there's loads of videos out there. Please do go and watch those videos, because they're more technical and they go in depth in how to fish this. But with the overshotting rig, you're obviously fishing a short line. You've got a float on the rig. Most venues now require you to have a float, and then you overshotting that actual float. So it's sinking, and then as you put the pole in the water, you flick it up, the float comes up, the hook comes up, the bait's moving, and then you lower it down again and you keep flicking it. So the fish come to the noise, they come to the movement of the bait, and that is how you're catching the F1s. But like I say, go and watch those more technical videos. So there we go, we've had another fish, went straight out there, didn't take long, another F1. So about 40 minutes left of the match now, and I felt like the only line, the best line to stay on would be the long line. There was plenty of fish there. There was fish in my short line, there was fish in the margin, but I was missing bites, I was foul hooking them. They weren't quite right. I don't know if that was because of the depth on this side of the bank of top pool, but I felt like because of the depth of the water, the best place to be would be fishing shallow, and they were all out. Because I've been feeding it all day long at 13 metres, that's where they're going to be. So I carried on for the last 40 minutes, fishing this 13 metre line, fishing shallow on the overshotted rig, catapulting out casters over the top and waiting for the next bite. So we're almost at the end of the match. I ended up fishing this line until the end, still catching fish. But day 2, very similar to day 1. It was all about rotation, keep rotating the lines and putting fish in the net. I ended up getting 58 pounds and 1 ounces in this particular match. Not quite enough. It was 4th in the section. I needed that section win to be able to get top 3 overall of the 2-day event. But I wasn't too disappointed. I got 5th out of 24 anglers, catching 123 pounds and 5 ounces. So 5th out of 24. I was actually quite pleased with that as well. Hopefully guys, you've enjoyed these videos. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds. Just hit the button. It's free and it's easy. Also, don't forget to hit that notification button so you get notified next time I upload. Don't forget, drop the video a like. Please do leave a comment at the end of the video. But hopefully you've enjoyed these. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.